Welcome back to Travel Again Insights, a weekly look at what matters most to our amazing industry. Well, Ed, welcome back. Another week of activity, and certainly never lack of activity around the travel industry for sure. So what do we have this week?
Yes, a lot going on. We have a couple articles to cover today, and we're going to start with this one, Mike. Cruise lines officially started to cancel Alaska sailings, covered it by the Points guy. Tell us what this means.
Well, it's as much about the Canadian government as it is about cruise lines. And it's certainly frustrating for the industry, certainly very frustrating for the cruise industry, because all those Alaska sailings have to basically go through Canada, and they have to port in Canada. So they're forced to basically go by Canadian regulations. And as we know, the Canadian government's been very, very restrictive in their attitude towards travel, and been in a virtual shutdown mode, literally, figuratively. And it's just difficult because we're in a situation where, as an industry, we're trying to do the right things to be safe, to recover. Cruise lines have gone over and above to try to work out game plans for how to effectively cruise in a COVID environment. And they're not even being given a chance. And certainly that's very frustrating and terrible for the Alaskan economy, for the Canadian economy. And we need to be working collaboratively to solve problems, not to stay in a shutdown mode. It's highly political, of course, but it is frustrating because we do need to, and every country needs to work together to figure this out. Not to just stay into a mode of, never travel, and with no answer to when that is actually going to change.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's a difficult discussion, and I know how hard the cruise line has been hit. So speaking of just a complete dichotomy in the reverse direction, government roadmap has gone beyond expectations for travel start in the UK. So this one's completely different.
Yeah, it is. So, what came out of the UK is a 180 from Canada, where we have a stated roadmap for, basically returning travel to travel. They actually are starting with schools on March 8th. Reopening schools, reopening retail 5 weeks later on the 12th of April, and then travel on May 17th. Now, there's a dependency there. If all goes well, you continue, and this is assuming again aggressively rolling out vaccines and doing all the other things that we need to do in between. But assuming it all works, I mean, their attitude is, the stated quote is, we're going to have to live with this. So we have to figure out a way to enable, the restarting of, our lives, right? And, there's the travel industry, has been working closely again with the UK government to try to, work through these issues and do it collaboratively. And we need to see that all over the world. I mean, this is critical. That we do this. Again, safety is not being compromised here. It's about how do we do it, and how do we do it in a safe mode. But that was certainly encouraging, and one where I think you're starting to see these pockets of where you start to see some again plans being put in place. Putting some definitive dates and some measurements around it. It's like it's all very measurable in terms of the things you need to do, the metrics, looking at all the data. It needs to be scientifically driven, but just saying no until further notice is not an answer.
It is nice to see some plans coming together. I think it's important for our industry, and in line with our framework. And speaking of our framework, this next article is right on point in terms of what our long-term goals are with our framework. Talking about quarantine-free travel, maybe one step closer with a new industry app. So tell us about this, Mike.
Yeah, so this is just, one of the major, participants in this is IATA, and they've been working to put aggressively to put a app into the market. They've got a number of their airlines that are working, within the IATA community. They're looking to test and help roll it out. Again, it's a step in the right direction. Now, behind this, though, the part we're going to work on and need to work on as an industry is common standards about how not the IATA app won't be the only one. There's a number of other players that are looking to be in this space, which is terrific. We need that. We need multiple providers. Think of it the same way you look at the vaccines, right? There's not one vaccine that's going to solve the world's problem here. It's about, and the same here, we need multiple providers to reach audiences in different markets, and with possibly some variation in requirements from as it relates to how the public, what they need, data standards, privacy, et cetera. There will be some differences, but we need to know what those are and make sure then that they are acceptable and interoperable, meaning, I don't have to sign up for 19 different apps just to be able to go on a business trip, right? So we're trying to, those are the things we're focused on. There's an initiative out there, the Good Health Pass Initiative Collaborative, that's been in place. There's ways to do this, from a technical standard, from a basis, that we can get everyone together on this. But again, credit to IATA. Happy to see they're really moving quickly to try to get something into the market, get tested, and clearly, the airlines are a key distribution point, with the customer.
Thanks, Mike. This next article flows right into the same discussion about governments being pressed to help standardize this, just like you're talking about. So just real quick, tell us about this article from the company Dime.
Yeah, so Kurt Eckert, who's the CEO of CWT and an industry colleague, leader, terrific leader in the space, is also the chair of the Travel and Tourism Advisory Board for the Commerce Department. And he just recently took on that role. He spoke at the National Defense Transportation Association's gathering. They did a virtual session, and he really hit some key points that, about this, the very things we were just talking about, that it's great that, we have all these providers that are kind of rushing into space to try to fill this need. But without those standards, without the interoperability, without the government collaboration, really helping to find, basically, even among the different government agencies, we need cooperation and we need collaboration to make sure we can get to a place quickly. This can't take place over the course of years to get to the right place on this. We need to be able to show, people have to be able to show that they're vaccinated, that they're tested, depending on the circumstances. And again, that you can still protect the personal, data, health data. It's really just about being offering up a green means go kind of mentality. Like behind the scenes, that will things will have to happen, but just validating test results and being able to show that confidently and securely is critical. And I think we know, and we've talked about this as Travel Again, it's one of the key building blocks of success in the future here. So again, great when we have leaders in the industry, taking those stands, being out there, really trying to drive that level of collaboration. And Commerce Department's key to this, and we've been working with them, and we'll continue to. They're a key part of the equation here, of course, along with Department of Transportation and along with Homeland Security. There's a lot of interagency collaboration that has to happen as well. So, but again, some encouraging signs. But as always, we have a lot of work to do to get to where we want to get to.
Speaking of a lot of work to do, Mike, that's the end of the articles for this week. Always a lot of news, but thank you for summarizing it perfectly. And I will see you again next week.
See you next week.